bienvenidos, bienvenidas a este capítulo 84 de Crypto Squad Fair. Hoy somos 6 bíceps, aunque solo se ven 4, pero tenemos un invitado de calidad alta, de gama alta, fina, especial de Lighter, o sea, una persona muy conocida en la comunidad, yo creo, que se ha hecho muy famoso estos últimos meses. Tenemos aquí al profesor Satoshi, ¿no, Fer? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Nervioso? ¿Impaciente? A ver qué nos cuenta. ¿Alfa?
Pues yo creo que el capítulo de hoy con profesor Satoshi va a ser un capítulo de los mejores que hemos tenido, porque ya sabemos, yo creo que la mayoría de la gente conocerá a profesor Satoshi, pero es una de las personas, uno de los creadores de contenido más reputados, más conocidos de Lighter, y en el día de hoy nos va a responder seguro a todas las preguntas que nos pueden ir surgiendo alrededor de Lighter. Así que, profesor Satoshi, bienvenido, welcome.
Gracias, bro. Estoy un poco nervioso porque no soy un nativo. Soy de Estados Unidos, yo crecí en Nueva York, pero yo estudié español y también yo viví en Barcelona por 4 meses y también Buenos Aires, así que pienso que esta es una oportunidad para practicar mi español.
Pues qué bien, profesor, porque fíjate que supongo que la gente se estará dando cuenta, ¿no? ¿Cómo es posible que el profesor Satoshi tenga acento argentino de nuestra querida comunidad argentina? Y va a ser bastante curioso. Y nada, profesor Satoshi, ya te decimos que aquí va a ser un podcast que vamos a estar entre amigos, vamos a estar hablando de todo un poquito. Recordad a la audiencia que a lo mejor hay algunas palabras que vamos a tener que decir en inglés, a lo mejor habrá que hacer alguna pequeña traducción o incluso el propio editor también se encargará de hacerlo. Pero ya os digo que merece la pena muy mucho quedarse para el capítulo de hoy, porque el ¿de qué vamos a hablar hoy con profesor Satoshi?
Bueno, pues vamos a exprimir al prof Satoshi, le vamos ahí a estrujar bastante sobre Lighter, obviamente, predicción de precios, catalizadores, qué opina del precio actual, porque estamos grabando el podcast lunes 19 de enero y estamos en el ATL, o sea, en el precio mínimo histórico de Lighter, después de la caída que hemos tenido en los mercados de domingo a lunes. Hablaremos de esto un poquito, también hablaremos de su historia, cómo empezó en cripto, su pasado como, no sé si estuvo en Morgan Stanley, en Google, cómo empezó en cripto y cómo ve el mercado. Luego también vamos a exprimirlo, Fer, con algo que hemos dado mucho la vara en la comunidad, tanto privada como pública, Fuego NFT. Ese NFT tan chulo, ¿no?, de la comunidad de Lighter, el único que parece que llevan los miembros del equipo como PFP, Profile Picture. Y finalmente, pues un poquito de Escuela Crypto, tips de trading, cómo hace profesor Satoshi el delta neutral, sus aprendizajes, un poquito para esta narrativa que tenemos de perpetuos, que nos ilumine un poco con su calidad americana, ¿no?, con su calidad gringo, americana, catalana, que tiene ahí un mix muy interesante. Así que, prof, yo estoy muy impaciente por saber de ti y que nos cuentes cosas. Y bueno, muchas gracias por estar aquí, por prestarte, y esperemos que la comunidad hispana te dé una buena bienvenida. Así que vamos a empezar ya, ¿no, Fer? A darle caña.
Venga, pues vamos para allá, Alex. Vamos a hacerle la primera pregunta a nuestro querido amigo, prof Satoshi. Y bueno, te vamos a preguntar sobre algo que consideramos que, bueno, que ha sido importante, ha sido relevante hace unos días, en el que se anunciaba pues que íbamos a tener ese listado por parte de Robinhood sobre Lighter. ¿Qué piensas? ¿Qué supone este listado por parte de Robinhood para el token de Elite, para Lighter? ¿Crees que es algo importante en un futuro? ¿Crees que puede haber una integración del propio perpetuo dentro de Robinhood? ¿Qué es lo que opinas de Lighter y Robinhood?
Vale. Yo pienso que Robinhood tiene aproximadamente 30 millones de cuentas de clientes y también 300,000 millones, ¿cómo se dice? Fondos de clientes, ¿sí?
Sí.
Así que es en mi opinión, nunca vimos este tipo de conexión con cripto y TradFi. Así que es muy importante en mi opinión, para conectar dos tecnologías entre cripto y también TradFi. Es un fuente, like a bridge. Por ejemplo, en nuestro mundo, en el mercado de criptomonedas, tenemos muy poca gente, es la verdad. Somos un muy pequeño comunidad de traders, in comparison to the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a very important connection to make. How did I do in my Spanish?
No problem. You can also speak at English every time you need. And if the audience don't know, they can watch the subtitles, as we said. But, Prof, Intentando ser un poco más específico, la integración de Robinhood integration of Lighter at their app and everything else is gonna be soon, or maybe we can expect it at 6 months, 7 months, like half of the year, or soon in 1-2 months. What do you think?
So I used to work on those integrations in my old job at Morgan Stanley, and it takes a while. I know we want it to be very soon, but actually I think it's better if we have it later on, because right now the price action of lit is sort of like fully bear controlled, and we're still trying to find a bottom on the price, and there's a lot of panic. So I think it works out for us, because I think it will take a few months for the integration to happen. Now, what Vlad has said is that they're in talks about tokenizing stocks. And I think that the use case would be for Lighter's team to work with Robinhood about utilizing Lighter sort of as a settlement engine, and then a back end sort of trade, like a back end trade settlement solution, while Robinhood is like the front end that has all of the customer accounts and all of the 300 billion in customer assets. So, having worked firsthand on these integrations, you can't make any mistakes. It has to be perfect, because it's connecting to, the stock market. You can't just say, "Oh, sorry, I messed up on something," and because if you mess up, there's serious consequences. So basically, there has to be a very, very thoughtful, laid out plan for this integration. So I would say it's more, like a Q2 or even Q3 thing. I wouldn't expect it to happen in Q1. I would be surprised, because I just know that behind the scenes, there's a lot of work required for an integration like that. And, Robinhood, I think in España, like my friends use eToro. It doesn't have to just stop at like, I see you guys nodding your head. It doesn't have to just stop at Robinhood. It could be used Interactive Brokers, eToro, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and other brokers around the world too. It doesn't have to just stop at Robinhood, but I think it's because Vlad has a relationship with Robinhood, and so he's trying to use that to sort of prove a use case. And I haven't mentioned this really to anybody, but that's what I'm actually hiring, a team of people between New York and Buenos Aires, because I'm still very connected to TradFi from my old job. And I'm happy to work with Vlad and the team to help introduce to other sort of TradFi players to integrate the technology.
Wow, prof, pues muchas gracias. Vamos a hacer una cosa, Les. Yo creo que vamos a hacer un resumen conforme nos vaya diciendo prof Satoshi. Básicamente dice que, evidentemente toma su tiempo toda la integración que pueda tener Robinhood con Lightyear, porque, por ejemplo, prof Satoshi dice que previamente, cuando estuvo trabajando en Morgan Stanley, que sabe que esas cosas llevan su tiempo y que espera que este Q1 no vaya a ser, sino que vaya a pasar, sobre todo, pues a partir a lo mejor del Q2, Q3, y que por lo tanto ahora mismo no sería algo que se pudiera utilizar esa bala para gastar. Yo francamente también pienso lo mismo. Creo que después del listado de Robinhood, de Coinbase, no se tienen por qué gastar todas esas balas que se tienen en el cartucho. Luego también ha comentado profesor Satoshi que Vlad está ya en proceso también de tokenizar stocks, que eso sería algo muy interesante y que de nuevo nos metería dentro de esa nueva narrativa que esperamos que pueda ser bastante alcista una vez que pase todo el tema de los perpetuos. Y yo creo que más o menos eso sería un resumencillo de lo que nos ha dicho prof Satoshi. Sin embargo, tendremos los subtítulos también puestos para que la gente que a lo mejor quiera saber exactamente qué ha dicho prof Satoshi en cada una de sus intervenciones podrán verlo con los subtítulos en español. Y vale, pues perfecto, prof. Vamos a pasar a la siguiente pregunta, en el que, ya parece ser que hay algo dentro de ese nuevo mecanismo de buybacks que está llevando a cabo Lighter, y te preguntamos si crees que es eficiente, piensas que va a ser de verdad un game changer dentro de Lighter, y si a lo mejor eso nos va a llevar de verdad que de nuevo tengamos un price action mejor. Básicamente, talking about lead buybacks, are they efficient or are Hyperliquid's daily one better? What's your opinion about the lead buybacks? Do you think these lead buybacks are going to try at least to hold this support zone where now we are fighting, trying to rise up? Because as you know now, today we are at new all-time low. So what do you think about it?
Voy a intentar en español y si no sé las palabras, voy a cambiar al inglés. Así que, ok, bueno. Pienso que los buybacks son una buena estrategia. Vimos esta estrategia en Hyperliquid y también las acciones en el mercado en Estados Unidos como Facebook y otras empresas también. Pero quiero decir que no es solo lo único estrategia, porque yo sé que es un buena, ¿cómo se dice narrative? Narrativo.
Narrativa. Sí, una buena narrativa.
Es una buena narrativa, pero quiero decir que si solo usan la moneda para los buybacks y no se invierte en crecimiento, se podría ser vulnerable a la competencia.
Vulnerable, sí.
Sí. Y quiero decir que los traders van a aprovechar las compras y solo it's only going to be that. So you don't want traders to just, ride on the buybacks because then you create a hyperliquid situation. Voy a cambiar a inglés por esa parte porque es un poco complicado para mí. In Hyperliquid, it worked because it was a very good strategy. It was a good narrative. But, they're doing buybacks now, and why is the price not going up, right? And also the market environment was totally different. Like they were the only DEX, so it worked for them. But, now it's not working, right? Why is it not working? And, I think that buybacks is a very good strategy, but if you don't use the money for growth as well, it can hurt you. And I really want Lighter to actually focus a lot on the user acquisition outside of crypto Twitter. So how do you get your regular person that wants to invest, that wants to trade? I'm not talking high frequency trading, but how do you get them onboarded to Lighter? Because ultimately what we saw with Robinhood in 2015 was a very aggressive user acquisition strategy. They owned all of the users. And when we were at Morgan Stanley, we thought, these kids are going to run out of money and that they're going to go away and Robinhood would die. I was on those meetings. I was in those calls at the time with the wealth management team at Morgan Stanley. But they had a very aggressive user acquisition strategy. They didn't do stock buybacks, right? In 2015, 2016 when they first started. Now that they're bigger, they can be more aggressive with a buyback strategy. I know Lighter they're going to find a balance between doing buybacks. But at the same time, it's like, how do we get all the users in Europe? How do we get all the users in United States? And then not just Europe and the United States, but also in all parts of Asia, like Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore as well, right? So I think buybacks is a nice narrative to have, but it isn't the only thing that you should be doing with the money if you're on the Lighter team, for example.
La verdad que lo que ha dicho Profe es muy interesante. We are totally agree with you, Prof, because we feel that Lighter teams don't invest in marketing at the same level at the quality of their product. The product is really efficient, really good. The interface is totally smooth, es muy guay, la forma de tradear es bastante sencilla en comparación, por ejemplo, a Variational, a otros Perp DEXs. El problema es que la narrativa de los Perp DEXs está llena de farmers y no investors. O sea, crypto market right now is empty of believers, investors, long term, and they are not fully aligned with the Lighter's thesis because also of the price action and because of the dry market, and everybody is farming, Variational, Extended, Pacifica, the next Perp DEX. So getting real users is really difficult. So I think the perfect solution will be invest in more marketing, more communities, more KOLs with quality of ideas, communities, as you, as our community. So, ese es el resumen para la comunidad, que el marketing es muy importante. Lo era en 2021. Fer, tú y yo hablamos muchas veces de Polkadot, de ADA, el marketing de XRP, esos cultos, create a cult around, for example, Fuego NFT, Lighter. Pero bueno, prof, gracias por tu punto de vista, coincidimos bastante. Next topic, next question. Season 3. Do you think, crees que hay una Season 3 ahora mismo próximamente? ¿Estamos en una season oculta, hidden season of points? Are you farming Lighter right now, or are you resting a little bit because of the environment of the market is really hard to trade? Or what are you doing right now?
Yo no conozco los detalles especiales más que lo que el equipo ya ha mencionado, pero yo creo que en 2026 voy a continuar mis trading en Lighter. Antes estaba en trading en Bybit y yo mudé casi todos mis fondos a Lighter. And también okay, it's a little hard, so I'm gonna try to switch. But I think I was doing good in Spanish, but some parts is like it's very hard to explain. But I think that there's a lot, like you mentioned, Lex, like there's a lot of different competition. I found Lighter like in January of last year, but I didn't really get on it until February. And what I noticed was that there's a lot of other perp DEXs out there. There's like, I think over 17 teams building. It's almost like what we see in the AI race. You have Grok, you have Gemini, you have Cloud, you have, oh my God, I don't even want to list all of them, right? There's so many. So at the end of the day, right, if you're a trader, I respect that if you want to farm something else, that it makes sense. If it makes sense for you to do so, do it, right? It's a financial decision, right? We're all traders at the end of the day. We're all trying to make some money. But the difference between Lighter and something, and I won't list, the other DEXs. To me, I have like very high conviction on Lighter, and maybe that's because I met Vlad for coffee in New York for a very an hour and a half long conversation. So I know that in crypto it's sad to say, but there's a lot of scammers, unfortunately, and you already see some perp DEXs that are rebranding. That are rebranding like their old failed project into like a new one to try to fit the narrative and fit the meta. And I get it, it's a business decision, but I don't think that's honest, and we need more honesty in this space. I think Vlad is an honest actor, and those types of people, it's very rare to see a crypto founder that isn't just trying to make a token so that he can get rich. And then Vlad is already very well off, right? Like some of these crypto founders, they might be young and they haven't made millions of dollars yet, so they're trying to get rich off of a token. But Vlad already, I don't think he really needs this, to be honest. I think he just wants to do this. So that's why I continue to farm Lighter. Now, that's not to say other, the season 3 is probably gonna happen this year. I don't know exactly the dates, like I said, but I don't know yet if there's something else that might be better. Like I would just stick to Lighter or like a hyperliquid season 3. But I know there's so many other perp DEXs like out there, and they're pretty good teams. But I haven't seen, en mi opinión, yo siempre siento que en el mundo de negocio siempre hay tres empresas de computadoras, autos, like empresas de energía. Así que tenemos hyperliquid número 1. Y Lighter número 2, pero número 3, en este momento, yo no sé qué, like, I don't know which one it will be. It's very hard because there's 17. It was much easier 1 year ago to say, hey, Lex, I think, I can tell you to your face. I told this to my friend actually in Barcelona. Like I said, hey, I think this will be a big company. And he was like, Tío, come on, man. Like he's seen too much. So, but now it's even harder is what I'm saying. It's like 17, 20 different projects. So you stick to what you know. it's in the world of stocks, it's always like stick to, and trading, you stick to what you know that, and you can do best, and that way you can succeed. Hopefully that gave an answer around season 3. I think it's happening this year. They should do it because they should be very aggressive with user acquisition.
Pues sí, profesor Satoshi, nosotros también estamos de acuerdo con lo que dice. Bueno, básicamente lo que ha dicho prof es que hay mucha competición, evidentemente hay muchísimos Perp DEXs ahora mismo que además se han sumado a esa narrativa obvia de todos los Perp DEXs, cómo ha salido bien Hyperliquid, cómo ha salido bien Lighter. Y bueno, también ha comentado que tiene bastante convicción en Lighter y que bueno, que hay bastantes proyectos que ahora están haciendo un proceso de rebranding, que a lo mejor eran proyectos que habían fracasado previamente, ¿no? Como por ejemplo lo de Vertex y ese otro protocolo que también perpetuo, que también se está hablando ahora un poquillo. Y bueno, prof también valora bastante la honestidad de Vlad. En realidad, como dice, no tendría por qué estar, bueno, él con el dinero que tiene, o sea, él está haciendo lo que está haciendo porque de verdad confía en el producto que está sacando y que, bueno, que tiene confianza y que va a seguir utilizando Lighter de forma orgánica. Perfecto. Vamos a pasar a la siguiente pregunta que tenemos y es acerca de los revenues, porque estamos viendo que dentro de cripto hay una moda bastante, una narrativa fuerte, que es que los proyectos generen esos beneficios como empresa. Entonces, te preguntamos, ese cero fees que tiene ahora mismo Lighter, ¿piensas que se va a valorar mal dentro del precio de Lighter?
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that if the zero fees impacts the valuation.
Yeah, it's talking about the revenue yield because of zero fees. Do you think that will the market value it poorly, or contrary, it's gonna be valued as the token really deserves?
I see. Okay. Es una buena pregunta, porque al principio pienso que el mercado van a enfocar más en los revenues, pero y es la correcta forma de análisis. But I think so Amazon had no money in the beginning, right? They lost money, right? So, and they lost money for 10 years. But now Amazon is worth trillions of dollars, right? So I think, and that, he started that in the 90s. So, and it's been 20 years, right? And now it's trillions of dollars. So 20 years, right? So I know it's a long time away, but you want to hold things in crypto. I know people are, 1 hour trade, 15-minute trade, 1 minute trade. So it's very short term, but you have to find the things that are that you want to hold for the long term. I think that's like investing. That's the difference between investing and then trading. Short-term trading, long-term investing. So I think the market is going to over-index and over-analyze the zero fees in the beginning and how that impacts the valuation. It certainly does in the beginning. The revenues are lower, the buybacks are weaker and less than Hyperliquid. But look at how Robinhood turned out, right? Robinhood look at the chart of Robinhood. And they had zero fees too. And, we're going through the same thing. Like I've seen it before when I was working on Wall Street in 2016, that, everyone thought they're going to die. They're not going to survive. It will not work. And we said that, the Hyperliquid people said the same exact thing about Lighter. It will not work. The same comments were said. It's funny, it's very ironic. There's a saying like history doesn't often repeat itself, but it rhymes. And in my life, this was like one of those moments where, wow, that, como se dice, dicho, right? It's un dicho. It really applied there. So, the revenues in the beginning, and by the way, right now it's like $91 million annualized. So still, it's $100 million per year business. And people are making fun of that. And I don't know, I've never made $100 million per year business before. So it's like these people on Twitter that are like, I don't know where they are, but I want to see them try to make $100 million business. So it's very early on, and we're going to see a lot of bull markets and a lot of bear markets in between. Right now, obviously, the launch happened and the token is going down because you have the airdrop farmers selling, and that's fine. I think that's okay. Peter Thiel made an investment in Lighter, at $1.5 billion valuation. That means that he thinks it's going to go a lot higher than 1.5 billion. I wouldn't invest in something unless I thought that it would go higher. The main thing is that Vlad needs to figure out is how does the success of Lighter translate to the token holders benefiting from that? Because it's true that token is not the same as a share, right? It's not that you don't get the same shareholder rights as an equity holder. So that's what Vlad needs to figure out. And it sounds like a problem, but actually it's more like a challenge, because he has the opportunity to define a model that shows that token and equity can work together, even though it's a little bit harder. I know everyone's saying that, VCs is bad, but not all VCs are bad, right? Amazon there was a VC that invested in Amazon, and look at Amazon now. Amazon is, $1 trillion company. So in my opinion, instead of focusing on the zero fees and how that impacts the valuation of Lighter, we should be focused on what the team is doing to acquire users. Because once you have the users, then all of the other competitors, they can't compete anymore, right? You box them out. I don't know. I'm trying to make a Messi like Argentina football, because this year's the World Cup like analogy. But like he moves so fast, he boxes other like players out in football, and then everyone else is just like stuck on the field. They don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, he's like a magician on the football field. So I think that Proscrito, you and Lex, you as well, and myself, we should be monitoring not just the revenues and not just the zero fee structure, but are they gaining users? Because if they're not gaining users, then this becomes a lot scarier to be bullish on, right? If they're losing users, I get it. After the airdrop, we're going to lose users. That's normal. But in 2026, I really want to see them continue to gain users. That's our main focus, in my opinion.
Very, very interesting, Prof. We think the market is going unfair, valuating Lighter, because all the time comparing with hyperliquid. And in 2021, 2022, 2018, the market was completely different. I'm agree. But nobody put all the value into revenue. And it's a good point of view, because Polkadot, XRP, Ethereum, there's no revenue. Solana, there's no revenue. Aave, there's no revenue also, or at least there's revenue, but not so high as Perp DEX Meta. So, por hacer un resumen a la gente, lo que ha dicho lo que ha dicho Prof, estamos aquí aprendiendo una de inglés, a mí me está cambiando el cerebro. Encima, hace media hora estaba aprendiendo alemán para que la gente vea que estamos aquí en tres idiomas.
Parecemos puertorriqueños hablando Spanglish, ¿eh? Una mezcla entre español e inglés.
Parecemos ahí, sí, la típica. Bueno, Prof, quería decir a la gente que sí, que el mercado ha cambiado mucho, que el revenue no es solo lo más importante, y que para atraer usuarios en este meta de farmers y de mercenaries, you have to create a storytelling, a narrative about Season 3, about the future, about founder-found investors, about all the pillars that made Lighter being the first option all the 2025. But nowadays, in 2026, it seems like Lighter is a fucking shit, There's a product market fit, every retail uses it, market makers use it also, but it's like, Lighter makes no revenue, go to zero. It's really unfair, and for me, no makes no sense. Pero bueno, vamos a hacerle la primera pregunta al Prof, porque es que si no, Fer, con el ritmo que llevamos, nos vamos a dos horas. Vamos a hacer la última pregunta al Prof de Lighter, luego pasaremos a Fuego, un poquito su visión de mercado, Fuego NFT y Escuela Crypto, para que la gente que esté por aquí aún se quede, que luego vendrán cosas distintas, por si acaso no están metidos en Lighter. Pero bueno, vamos a hacerte la última pregunta, Prof, y es opinion about Justin Sun buying lead and the exit liquidity that was last Coinbase listing, Robinhood listing, and other tier 1 CEXes listings was really a really bad price action. What do you think about these listings, about Justin Sun? This is good or bad for the token? Only seeing the price action, it seems weaker price action is not a good option to listing right now. What do you think? The future of listings and Justin Sun, what is he going to make?
Okay. Dame un segundo para pensar en español. En mi opinión, yo pienso que Justin Sun confía en Lighter como un hedge. Él es un bull secreto. Yo sé que él tiene otros proyectos que en su ecosistema. No sé el nombre. Sundex. Sí, sí, sí. Así que, y también en general, los CEOs de otros proyectos, como CZ también, ellos, y también Ben de Bybit, ellos siempre dicen que el futuro es on-chain. Así que pienso que Justin Sun's acciones en Lighter, depositing 200.000 millones de dólares en la plataforma, es un vote de confidence en Vlad. Y el otro parte del pregunta es los listings. Sadly, voy a cambiar en inglés por esa parte. Sadly, I think that the listings were used to take profit from the airdrop farmers. And I actually thought that would be the last part of the capitulation, because you guys have been in crypto long enough where, in order to make money, you need to buy low and then sell high, right? I think that they used the listings to take profit, and that makes sense to me. But what didn't make sense to me really is, or it does now, but I didn't want to see us lose that around $1.80. But the whole market is down. Even the U.S. stock market's down too. So this was news, right? This was not expected. If we didn't hit this news, I think that we would have stayed around that $1.80 low. But we have news, right? So over the last 7 days, two pieces of bad news. The first one is around the market structure bill in Estados Unidos, like the regulators, los políticos están hablando sobre esta regulación. And it was going to be a huge unlock for crypto. Like this bill would connect TradFi market, which is, $55 trillion. More is like $69 trillion now to crypto. It would connect it directly. They always say, TradFi is already here. It's true. We are here, right? But this bill would allow for so much more capital to flow in. And that's, by the way, why we were going up the first 2 weeks of January, because of this bill. But we just learned last Wednesday and Thursday that Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, does not like this bill. And so that's the first bad news. So that now the bill is delayed. The second bad news is Trump. Trump is trying to acquire Greenland now. Yeah, this part I don't know how to say in Spanish, but this is not, yo estudié finanzas, pero yo no estudié este tipo de negocio, man. Like, this is a diferente nivel de negocio que Trump está haciendo, que we don't study this type of business. This is very strange. This is very out of the ordinary. Stock market. The stock market dropped as much as the entire market cap of Lighter. It dropped $700 million dollars in 1 hour. So that's why I think Lighter lost that level, $1.80. But I think the listings is good because it will lower the volatility of Lighter and provide more market makers on the centralized exchanges. But that's my opinion. Hopefully that answered your question, Lex.
Perfecto, Prof. For sure, yes, as you say, sometimes maybe we don't understand why, for example, Donald Trump is trying to acquire Greenland, but as I thought, and as Lex and me were talking to the Crypto Squad community, Trump is interested on acquire this west part of the Arctic shipping routes, because Trump and US wants to control this shipping route, because during this way, some Russian and Chinese ships are trying to watch out in the coast of the North of America. And so this is one of the reasons Trump really wants to acquire this part of Greenland, but now it's pretty complicated because European Union doesn't really want to give this part to Donald Trump. We'll see what's what's going on. And for sure, bueno, como también decía...
Es un quilombo, es un quilombo.
Sí, un quilombo, efectivamente. Las malas noticias han tirado a lead, porque en realidad pues sí que podíamos ver que se estaba intentando asentar sobre los $2, pero bueno, que el mercado entero ha sido, en realidad lo que ha hecho ha sido, vamos, que ha caído. Y bueno, también ha comentado lo del tema de la ley, de la Clarity Act, en la que finalmente se podría aprobar. Ahora mismo acaba de haber un retraso en la aprobación de la ley, pero que evidentemente eso permitiría pues, que el dinero de Tradify pudiera fluir mucho mejor a cripto. Así que nada, vamos a preguntarte...
Perdón para la interrupción por escrito.
Sí.
Quiero decir una cosa, algo más.
Sí, claro.
Yo no, ¿cómo se dice? Yo quiero decir, pay much attention, pago mucho atención al ruido en Twitter, porque los grandes inversores con mucho dinero, capital, plata, ellos tampoco están en Twitter también. Y también ellos están mudando el mercado al final. No las personas con, 20,000, it's rage bait. A lot of it is rage bait. Like they want to just get views. So a lot of the people saying these things on Twitter, they're not the ones moving the market. The ones moving the market don't have time to be on Twitter, right? They're working like there's people that work at hedge funds. Their job is to look at the market. Their job is not to look at Twitter. So I know, but the community is on Twitter, right? So that's important. And, that's the other side, right? I'm in the middle, so I do work and trade and invest, and you're also in the middle. So, I think it's our job to communicate that, the biggest, the biggest people who move the markets are not always on Twitter, and they don't listen to all the noise on Twitter either. If they did, they would have missed the bottom last year in April to buy the Liberation Day tariff lows. So I wouldn't listen too much to the noise. I mean, some of these people, they're involved in other scams too. I think they found recently, won't mention any names, but yeah, just be careful. Even on Twitter, there's a lot of scammers out there. So I don't listen to the noise personally. You have to make your investment decision, not on the price action only, and not on the sentiment only, because that could be different than the fundamentals here.
Yeah, basically ignore the noise, because if you're tracking the stats and you can see that there is no too much change, just you can let it flow and chill with your holding, instead of looking and logging all the time to X just to take a look about what the .hl are saying about lighter and that stuff. So maybe this is something very interesting. Just follow your strategy, and even if you have to change something in the path to take your goal and your objectives, for sure you can change it, right? But this is something very, very interesting. Y por supuesto, como ha dicho ahora Prof, es eso, es a veces si tienes tu convicción en lo que estás teniendo y traqueas las métricas y tal, a veces es incluso mejor alejarte de Twitter. Yo últimamente lo he hecho también un poco, Prof, me he alejado un poquito también de Twitter, también para desconectar. Y bueno, vamos a pasar a la siguiente pregunta, que yo creo que es una pregunta que mucha gente dirá, oye, ¿cuál es la previsión? ¿Cuál es la predicción de precio que puede tener lead en el corto, en el medio y en el largo plazo? Digamos, por ejemplo, para quizá este Q1 y quizá para mediados de año y ya para final del siguiente, de este año, de año 2026. So this is your price prediction in the short, medium and long term in lead.
Okay. I like this question. So, because I've been thinking about this over the last couple of weeks, and also I've been thinking about the larger my larger expectation for the US stock market and Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana as well. So, and this informs my lit prediction as well. So maybe I'll start with the stock market first, because it's the biggest market. I don't know if your followers are in. Okay. I see. Okay. All right. So hopefully this is useful. But, for US equities, I think we're in the middle of a correction. We just started it yesterday. So we're going to be down for a couple days, maybe, a week or two for the stock market. So don't be surprised if we go down. I think that is the normal expectation of the market that we should have for the stock market because of those two bad news that I mentioned. The first is the delay of the market structure bill. And then the second is because of the Greenland and Donald Trump crazy, una locura. Like, this guy's crazy, man. So those are the two things why I think the stock market should go down. And that's why Bitcoin is down. Solana, Ethereum, Hyperliquid, Lit. These are the things that I'm watching on my screen. 6 things. So 2 weeks near term, I think bad price action, we're going to go down. But I think that we should buy the dip that is going to happen over the next, call it 2 weeks, give or take, right? Más o menos. And that means Bitcoin down, Solana down, Ethereum down, Lit down, Hyperliquid down too. Sadly, I mean, I hold Lit, and I'm saying this, but it's most likely gonna go down in the near term. We're already seeing it, over the last 12 hours, give or take. Now that's not to say, bear market, 5 years, oh my God, it's over. Because actually, I think that we're going to make new all-time highs on Bitcoin, the stock market. I don't know if we're going to make new all-time highs on Solana and Ethereum. I'm still thinking, but it will be a very good trade. And I'm pretty sure Lex, you and Proscrito, you guys have gotten into good trades. Even though you don't make new all-time high, you can still make a lot of money on a 30% move, right? On leverage. So this is the type of move that I'm trying to catch after this correction is done on the stock market and cryptos. We're in the middle of it. I mean, not in the middle. We just started it yesterday, so give it some time. Maybe we get a bounce here. So, and if you want to trade that, not a bad idea. But I do want to buy Lit in size over the next, call it 2 weeks, because I think that there will be a pretty nice move to have. Now, ultimately, I think that Lit. So now let's focus on Lit. The valuation of Lit, in my opinion, could be around 6 to 8 billion FDV, and that's based on pure comparison analysis for the revenues. But what I've learned in crypto is that it doesn't go off fundamentals; it goes off narratives. It's so much like, I don't know how to explain. I come from a very financial background, and it's very rooted in fundamentals, but it doesn't work in this market, is what I've seen. And that's why you get the meme called the mid-curve, mid-curve meme. And I am the mid-curve meme. So I know that when I do my first, I know that when I do my first set of analysis, that is supposedly the correct analysis, it's wrong, because that's just not how this market works. But I'm self-aware enough to know that I am the mid-curve and that I need to be more sort of like degen. So it's more about how does lighter and by the way, that's the normal valuation, right? So you have to think about, okay, how does this get stupid? How does it get dumb, right? Now, lighter at a dumb valuation, I would say, 20, 30, 40, we're talking about on par with Hyperliquid. That is, in my opinion, dumb. That is the super ultra bullish target. That's not to say it's impossible, right? I don't think it's going to happen this year, but long term, if they do, this is a startup, right? So they have to make the right decisions in order to achieve those higher valuations. And like I said earlier before, one of those decisions is customer acquisition. So if they do acquire, let's just say Hyperliquid has 1/3 of the market, and then Lighter in the future has 1/3, and then some other DEX has 1/3. Yeah, getting to 20 billion to 30 billion, that's a 10x. From here. Now, is that going to happen in 1 year? No, I don't think so. I think that's going to take multiple years to happen. But 10x is, in crypto, people want 10x in 1 week. But for me, I think 10x in a few years is okay. When I was younger, maybe when I joined crypto 2017, I was looking for, I need 5x tomorrow. How do I get 10x mañana? like ahora mismo. But, like, I don't think, we're more mature now. And, unless you want to go into meme coins, which I know people lose money, you can't do meme coins your entire life. Like, as you get older, you need to, grow up a little bit with the market. You can do a little bit of meme coins, but I think that Lighter is, obviously not a meme coin. I think it's something that you can buy and hold long term, as long as the team continues to execute and acquire users. I think acquiring users is their number one secret to achieving a $20 billion valuation. Now, this year, when I do expect us to make new all-time highs on Bitcoin, I'm thinking it's going to happen, before November is my estimate. So Lighter's best price action should be sometime before November. Now, the trick here is that I think the market gets a little bit tricky around July and August and September because we're leading up into Trump's midterm elections. So if I'm correct, I think that we're going to bottom out, in the next 4 weeks. We'll find a nice bottom here. So pay attention. I think this is the most important time. I know a lot of people, they don't look at the market, but I think the next 4 weeks, even if you're listening to this, you're subscribed to Proscrito and Lex. If you're listening to this podcast, I think that the next 4 weeks, if you're working, just come home from your job and check the market once, or, on your way, if you're in the soup day in Argentina, like, just check it once on the way to your job, and then see if the market is like coming to a bottom. And I'm pretty sure Proscrito and Lex, you will be able to successfully call the bottom here as well. Because I think the next 4 weeks is very important if you want to make money in 2026. Like, this is where the money's made, when there's panic on the downside, right? And I want there to be panic, because usually when there's panic, that's opportunity for us, right? That's when people are making emotional decisions and they're not thinking with their head. They're seeing the money go down and, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money. And it's going to go to zero. Well, if you're invested in a scam, yes, it will go to zero. I've been invested in scams too, and yes, those go to zero. But of course, Bitcoin is not a scam. Lighter is not a scam. Stock market, maybe some people might say it's a scam, but it is a good scam, I guess. It keeps going up, the scam. But I think that pay attention the next 4 weeks. I'm pretty sure, Proscrito, you'll be tweeting. Lex, you'll be tweeting. Because this is where we're able to buy the bottom for, a big bounce. And, even if we're wrong, at least you can get out on a big bounce, right? And if we're right, then you keep holding for, a trending move. So that's how, sorry, this is a very long answer, and it was going to be impossible for me to say in Spanish. So hopefully you can help me translate it. That's how I'm viewing
it. Funny, because it's a really good answer. Es una muy buena respuesta, completa, y es opium. FOMO, opium for the market, because do you think also, like us, that we are going to get better prices, better state of the market emotionally, liquidity also will come back because of the macro environment, because Proscrito Fair is always tracking it. And we appreciate a lot your long-term vision, because at Crypto, I think we are in the middle of a reset. Everybody that came to become millionaire in 1 month, 2 months is going out, and now we only stay the people that believe in the crypto market, the long-term vision and revenue, a fundamental vision, and not only attention economy. Para que la gente sepa, el resumen fair, y ya nos vamos con lo del Fuego NFT, que creo que también es algo muy importante, la colección de Satoshi y Han Solar, es que en cripto no hay que quererlo todo ya, porque eso ya fue. O sea, eso ya fue en otros ciclos, ese tipo de mercado ya no existe, hay que ser más paciente, hay que saber analizar dónde metes tu dinero, dónde te enfocas. Y es algo que lo está diciendo ahora mismo el profesor Satoshi, que parece desde fuera a lo mejor más digen, ¿no? Entre cómo lo ves posteando, la PFP, y luego es una persona que analiza bien, que tiene una forma de ver las cosas a largo plazo, un mes en vista, y que tiene una estrategia como tú y yo, Fer, ¿eh? En plan, en 4 semanas estaremos mejor, en 2 semanas hacemos bottom, en mitad de verano tenemos lo de las elecciones de Trump. Está como pensando a largo plazo, teoría de juegos. Entonces creo que esta respuesta del profe es muy buena para que veáis cómo piensan gente que lleva muchos años en el mercado ahora sobre cripto. Y bueno, yo creo que todo esto, todo este esfuerzo del prof de hablar en español, combinarlo con el inglés y darnos su punto de vista, se merece un subscribe, un like y obviamente seguirlo, que tenéis ahí arriba Satoshi Haste, su Twitter handle. Escribe en inglés, pero merece la pena porque la mayoría de mejores cuentas escriben hoy en día en inglés, ya que CT español está en bottom. Eso sí que está en bottom y no lead. Eso está en bottom constante. Bueno, prof, vamos a pasar a hablar del Fuego NFT, porque claro, aquí Fer se encargó junto a Almenda de hacer una cena de Lighter en España, en la comunidad española, y también hablamos mucho de Fuego NFT. A pesar de que no es el mejor momento para Lighter, yo creo que seguís haciendo mucho ruido en redes sociales con vuestro NFT. Tenemos a miembros del equipo oficial de Lighter como Manu, creo que también está Sep con la PFP de Fuego. Así que te vamos a preguntar algunas cositas, como por ejemplo, tema checker, tema whitelist, public, premium, every kind of whitelist about Fuego NFT. Is possible to achieve one nowadays, or are all already taken for communities, people who farm engagement, made memes, participate at Discord? Is it still time for the public to get almost only one, or no?
Yeah. I was gonna say this part in Spanish, but I didn't want to mess it up, so I'm gonna say it in English. So there's been a lot of interest in Fuego. Of course, I know the community isn't happy right now with the price action, but of course, in crypto, there's always ups and then there's always downs. You guys have been here, long enough. Right now, we're obviously going through a down phase in the community sentiment.
Horrible.
It's horrible, I know. It's terrible. But I think like in markets, you don't always go up, right? You can't always just keep going up. It's part of the game to go down. So I've learned, being in the market for, I actually mainly trade options. So, and perps I learned like 3 years ago now. I've been trading perps. So, been in the market since 2015. 11 years as a trading for trading. So I know there's ups and then there's downs, and right now we're in part of the down. So I know how it feels. It sucks. But let's talk about Fuego. So there's been a lot of interest for Fuego, which is really nice to see. We did the 23 global community events where the premium whitelist was for people who attended the in-person events. And our website will be up very soon. I think this week. We were finishing some stuff up on the weekend so that you can register for the mint, and then see what kind of whitelist you get, because the top 3,333 will also get premium whitelist. So it's going to be the people who attended the events that get the premium whitelist, and then the top 3,333 points holders. But then for the rest of, on the website, you'll see it's going to check the top 10,000 wallets, and those will also get whitelisted. So if you're top 10,000, you'll definitely have a whitelist for Fuego before the public gets it. Now, the reason we decided that is we wanted to reward the early traders on Lighter, but we didn't want to just give it to the whales, right? We wanted to give it to regular traders that, maybe they weren't the first 10 people on Lighter, but they found Lighter, in August or May or September of last year, right? Around that time. So we want to capture those people too. So we have a whitelist checker on the website for the top 10,000. Because we want ultimately Fuego to be owned by Lighter traders, because by owning Fuego, we're going to have competitions, and we're going to try to work with the team on this. Nothing has been set in stone just yet, because we don't want to interfere with season 3 either. But I was part of the NFT, 2021 Euphoria, I guess. Is that how you say Euphoria? And y por eso yo quería que Fuego, ¿cómo se dice? brindará a sus propietarios acceso a las competiciones de trading exclusivas. Shit, I'm gonna fuck this up. I was on a roll there. I had some momentum. I was like, I'm gonna try to do it in Spanish, but no, I don't want to fuck it up. I'm gonna. Am I allowed to curse on this show? Sorry, or no cursing? It was a question for you, Lex or Proskry. If I'm allowed to.
Can you repeat the question, Prof?
Are we allowed to curse on the show? Like.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, our editors, can cut the. So don't worry.
Okay. So basically, I was a part of the 2021 mania, and that's why I want Fuego to have some utility. The utility will be trading competitions where you can earn, tens of thousands of dollars. That's my plan. And the OGs and amigos working with me on this, we have the same vision for it to have that baseline utility. No other promises, right? Like that's the baseline promise. Of course, we're going to do buybacks of the NFT as well. We're going to do buybacks of lit to give away for trading competitions. But wherever there's a crypto conference, we want Fuego to be there alongside Lighter, because this is, I think, the way that we, number one, retain the community. We build a cult, like you said, Lex. There's some sort of identity, right? And it's supported by buybacks. It's supported by the lit buyback as well. I know the token's not doing well, but I think the token will do well later on. So this is the ultimate end goal for Fuego, is to keep the community that we have and also grow it, because we want to offer trading competitions to people who might not know about Lighter, right? But we might be able to do enough marketing on the Fuego side so that they can discover Lighter. Sort of like how Pudgy Penguins, people didn't know, what crypto was, but they saw a cute Pudgy Penguin. Like my girlfriend, she watches these Pudgy Penguin memes, these memes on Instagram, and then she'll send it to me. It's like these couple memes, and it's funny, and that's how they get exposure to non-crypto people that might not be able to afford a Pudgy Penguin, but then they buy the little Pudgy, right? They have two collections. So this is how I want Lighter to gain exposure to people who might be trading, but then they don't know about Lighter, but we want them to gain more exposure to Lighter. And then if they want, they can participate in the trading competitions too by being an owner of Fuego.
Bueno, pues por lo visto vamos a tener, Lex, ¿verdad? Un montón de cosas positivas por el tema del NFT de Fuego. Básicamente lo que nos ha dicho Prof, que la página web para el checker puede que esté pues esta semana o la semana que viene. La gente del evento, como bien ha dicho Prof, también vamos a tener acceso a esa premium waitlist. También que hay trading competitions para los holders dentro del NFT de Fuego, y que luego también habrá una parte de esos beneficios que se vayan a destinar a buybacks también dentro de Elite. No sé si me dejó algo, Lex.
Básicamente que van a hacer marketing, cosa que es muy buena porque se tiene que crear culto, se tiene que expandir la PFP, se tiene que poner los calls, el miembro del equipo, o sea, que van a hacer las cosas bien, y que yo creo que al final quien se quiera exponer a Lighter o quien tenga esa premium whitelist, sí o sí tiene que mintearla, porque ya no solo por el profit, sino por el precio bajo que va a tener y por el acceso, supongo, a, pues, yo qué sé, si van a haber competiciones de trading, si van a hacer tantas cosas, premios en lead y tal, pues yo creo que es EV+, ¿no? Estar ahí expuesto por, yo creo que unos precios muy jugosos. Y la gente que no tenga whitelist, pues tendrá que currársela un poquito, porque al final ya estamos viendo que va a ser interesante. Pero bueno, yo creo que de Fuego NFT ya nos lo ha respondido todo. Todas las preguntas que teníamos preparadas, el profesor Satoshi nos ha respondido ahí en una sola respuesta. Así que podemos pasar al último tema, que sería básicamente Escuela Crypto. Tips para afrontar el mercado haciendo trading, farmeo de perpetuos. Profe, Profe Satoshi, que me hace gracia como que lo llamo profe Satoshi,
Profe.
tío, es un poco profe. Es un
Sí.
poco como en el colegio cuando éramos pequeños. No sé si ahora mismo has dicho que antes habías movido todos tus fondos de Bybit a Lighter hace ya tiempo, ¿no? En 2025. 2026, ¿has movido fondos de Lighter a algún otro perpetuos? Por ejemplo, nosotros estamos súper bullish por ciertas cosas en Extended ahora mismo, que nos gustaba ya de antes, pero preferimos Lighter. ¿Te estás posicionando en algún otro perpetuos para farmear su airdrop, para tradear de manera orgánica o no? Todo Lighter.
Ok. Mm, es muy difícil porque yo sé que hay muchos proyectos que gente pueden farmear. ¿Is that the word? El verbo farmear. Um, y también no soy maximilista. Um, and that's how I found later by not being a maximalist too. But for me, as I said, it was very hard in February, and I made a very public tweet about this as well. That about later, being a very strong competitor to Hyperliquid. Now I know that the price action again is not. It doesn't show that it's a strong competitor, but even after the farmers left, right? If you look at the stats, it's still making $100 million per year. And yes, the OI dropped, but the users, there's still a lot of users on Lighter. So my conviction on Lighter has not really dropped in terms of it being able to sustain in the top three for perp DEXs, because I believe there will be a top, three. Similar to how we have Binance, OKX, and Bybit, right? We have Coinbase, Kraken too. Hay espacio para más que dos, más que just solo Hyperliquid and más que solo Lighter. So, in mi opinión, the price action of Lighter unfortunately makes it harder for future projects right now. This price action, but it's not just because of Lighter, being a bad project. It's because the whole market is actually down. For example, look at Hyperliquid. Right now, Hyperliquid is just chopping, right? It's at $23, $24. It's the same price for 2 months almost. So in order for the other projects to be good farms, right? You want Hyperliquid to go up in value. You want Lighter to go up in value too. And that's why I said I think it's a very challenging question to answer for all your followers, because as much as I want to say yes, go farm Extended or go farm Pacifica or NATO. I mean, there's just so many. I'm not going to go through the whole list. It might be a good idea, right? I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's always a good idea to try new things, actually. But I have to say the price action of Hyperliquid, the price action of Lighter right now makes me think that it will be very hard for the future TGEs to be as successful. There was a few that happened in Q4. We had Avantis, and Aster. You guys remember those, right? Avantis and Aster. So those were very good trades. Like they went up 3x, 2x, very big trades. But Lighter didn't do that, right? And that is a sign that the market is telling us right now that they are afraid to buy new projects. That doesn't mean that it's a bad project. It just means that right now is not the right time. So it might not be the right time at this very moment, but it's going to come to a specific level where it becomes a pretty good trade, in my opinion. But for other projects, I would say try them out, because it does not hurt to try and be early to a new project. Do not be a maximalist, right? If you're a maximalist on an Ethereum, you miss Solana, and Solana was a huge, huge runner. If you were a maximalist and only traded on Hyperliquid, then you missed Lighter, and Lighter was a good airdrop for a lot of people. So all in all, to sum it up, I would say try new projects. That doesn't necessarily mean the airdrop will be, amazing. Be safe, because there's going to be, by the way, proscrito and lex. This is the most important thing. Of all the things I say on the stream, more important than fuego, more important than lighter, more important than my prediction, is to be very safe and careful, because whenever there's successful projects like Hyperliquid and lighter, there's always going to be scammers that try to copy and make a fake DEX, right? They make a fake project that everyone believes in, and then it's a rug pull. We already see this in some parts of the Hyperliquid ecosystem. Okay, we already see that. So please, before, it's more important than Fuego, it's more important than lighter, it's more important than Hyperliquid, it's more important than my market prediction, is just please be very safe with your funds. Do not get scammed, because I hate to say it, there's a lot of scammers in the industry still, and they're trying to take advantage of where the attention is on perp dexes right now. Maybe there's a little bit less attention because the market's pulling back, but there will be scam perp dexes that try to make you deposit and earn points, and they make you think the valuation will be high. I'm telling you, there will definitely be one. Like, I have very high conviction there will be a scam like this in 2026. So please, of all the things that I said on this amazing podcast, I think the number one most important thing is to make sure that you keep your funds safe, that you don't get scammed by a fake perp dex that you're trying to farm. Because all the excitement's there, like, you want to be early, right? They make you feel like if you're not early, you're not going to get the points, then you don't get the airdrop. You want to be safe, though, number one, first and foremost. That's my most important message of the last 1 hour that we've been talking. Be safe with your funds.
Be safe with your funds. Yo creo que es algo, me parece muy importante. And, this form, to sum up your last words, it's pretty important that people can understand if they want to keep farming or they want to keep surviving in this ecosystem. For sure, they will need to take care about their funds. And by the way, Prof, this is this theory you mentioned before about the top 3 theory. It's something I've been thinking during the whole podcast, that maybe after this, like the gold fever in the 19th century in USA, now it's happening something with the, like, we can call it as perp fever or perp rush. So maybe after this fever, the attention and the market share can flow it up again to, for example, lighter and hyperliquid, and maybe this kind of dissolution is actually now happening in the market crypto, can again flow to lighter and can flow again to hyperliquid as the 2 survivors of this narrative, plus one more that maybe it's not built yet, or maybe it is, but we don't know. So this is something very, very interesting. And for sure, as you say, don't be a maximalist or a huge, like, super fan of something because of some project, because maybe you can, in the way, you can miss another chances to change your life. Like, for example, you say with lighter, right? Because a lot of sideliner, hyperliquid maxis and fans, they miss lighter opportunities. So this is something very powerful to share with our audience. So thanks a lot, Prof.
Yeah, es una buena analogía con el oro rush, creo. Sí. Y sí, yo pienso que lo más importante cosa en el hora pasado es prueba nuevas plataformas, pero cuidado.
Con cuidado.
Cuidado con los proyectos falsos. That is, like, the most important thing. Like, I hate scammers so much because I got scammed before too in crypto, and it sucks. Like, I lost a lot of money, and you just have to be careful. That's why, in order for me to make all these posts about lighter and have so much conviction, I met Vlad in person. So I try to do my best to convey this to my followers. And of course, you're going to get the hyperliquid.hl that says, he's a scammer or whatever, but he's not. And, they might have more followers than me, but, he's not a scammer. That's the number one most important message. Lo más importante mensaje.
Y es un mensaje que siempre recordamos desde aquí y que la gente se le olvida con el FOMO. Lo ha descrito perfectamente el profesor Satoshi y ahora hay varios proyectos así que estamos en los late stages of Perp DEX's narrative, so be careful because it can be possible a rug pull in a few months. I believe in it also. So, Prof, the last question of this podcast, because we are already like 1 hour and 15 minutes recording. You farmed later about your strategy. Maybe you were a real organic trader, or maybe you had one strategy, something like that, putting a lot of volume in blue chips, keeping open interest open with some trades, maybe a balanced delta neutral with funding rates. Can you share with us some of your strategies or mindset point of view about farming later?
Okay. En este momento ellos tienen una aplicación móvil y tienen creo que 200,000 wow, oh shit. I don't know if that's the right number. $200,000. Ellos quieren más gente más gente en mobile. Así que farming lighter, I think I would focus enfocar en mobile en este momento. Pero al principio todo fue orgánico para mí. Pero el truco, truco is trick, right? The trick, truco. Yeah, because there's an Argentino game like truco. It's a card game. El truco, ¿cómo se dice? It was getting liquidado para obtener más, muchos puntos liquidado. It was the trick. And I'm so sad that I found out later, but if you got liquidated, so, like if you got liquidated, you got a lot of points, like 10,000 lighter points, 20,000 lighter points. Like, so, I found out too late, and it was, 200 points, 500 points, 800 points in the beginning, but that was a trick. And if I were to try a new platform, I would try to see in the beginning, small amount, liquidate $5,000. Well, actually, 5,000 is still a lot of money. I don't know. Whatever is small for you, right? Do not, yeah, like I don't want to suggest to, proscrito, hey, why don't you go lose 10,000? Because $10,000 is a lot of money. But that is what I would try to do, a small amount liquidado, todo, para obtener más puntos en una nueva plataforma. Y también el otro estrategia es long on one plataforma y short en el otro. Así que es delta neutral. No va a tener riesgo con esta estrategia. Bueno, hay riesgo, pero pocos. Yeah, menos. Long and short.
I remember, Prof, this theory. I don't know why, Lex. I was trying to figure out when we realized about the liquidation trick, Prof. And yeah, because we were testing what happened when we liquidate, I don't know, some position of $100 or $200. And we remember few weeks where they were pushing to you more points they were adding more points to this strategy. But as you know, this is something very, very risky, but for sure is something that we can pay attention if, for example, we are in the first stage of any perp, right? And like this, maybe we can take some advantage of from the rest of traders. So that's pretty good. En resumen, lo que decía el profesor Satoshi era lo del tema de las liquidaciones, chicos, que al principio no nos acordábamos que el Lighter pues parecía que funcionaba, en el que había momentos, algunas semanas en las que cuentas que a lo mejor oye, pues a mí me habían liquidado una posición de $200 y me han dado estos puntos, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, eso era algo que sí que en su momento veíamos. Lex, no sé si te acuerdas.
Sí, me acuerdo perfectamente. Y lo que pasa es que como el algoritmo cambia, la IA, the algorithms IA about projects is changing every week, and you cannot find the exact formula about the perfect points formula. But liquidations were really good, part of lighter points. So, Prof, we arrived to the end of the podcast. I don't know if you want to speak the last words to your community, to our audience, and give them any important message about crypto, about mindset, whatever you want. It's your time. Also, you can speak about Fuego, whatever you want. If you want to speak about football, Messi, Argentina, is also okay. Up to you, bro.
Up to you, bro.
And this is your moment, so I give you the microphone.
Okay. El primero cosa, gracias por invitarme y perdóname porque mi español es terrible, pero estoy aprendiendo y estoy muy, ¿cómo se dice? Feliz que tengo la oportunidad para conversar con ustedes. Fue muy divertido y fue un placer. Y yo creo que están haciendo un buen trabajo con este podcast y ustedes son buenas, ¿cómo se dice? Hosts para charlar. So that's the first thing. Now, second thing is, yes, I'm very excited for World Cup. Now, United States, we suck at football, but now that I am between New York and Buenos Aires. I have a departamento in Buenos Aires and a departamento in Nueva York. So yes, I'm like, they have Boca and they have River down there. It's like freaking crazy. So finally, I'm able to watch football. I'm excited that this year is a World Cup because prediction markets is also an interesting farm. I'm not sure, like maybe poly market is a good farm too. Now there might be a lot of points, it might be diluted, but it will be fun, I think, to do sports betting on poly market and those betting sites. I want Argentina to win. I don't know. It's going to be hard this year. Messi is getting old. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to dismiss the invitation. This is our time again. We're going to be another 10 championship World Cup winner.
I know. It'll be and by the way, it's going to be in Estados Unidos, but oh my God, it's crazy the way they describe it. It's actually very close to New York, one of the stadiums, but I don't know if I like how they did it. Even like, it's like in Mexico, Canada, United States, it's too much. Like the players, they have to fly everywhere. It's very hard for them. So I don't know, like maybe the players might not be playing their best if they have to do so much traveling. It's all over. I don't know if I like that. Even in El Próximo Mundo, it's going to be like in Argentina, Uruguay, and like Mexico or something like that. And I'm like, what? Who's making these rules for FIFA? Like, I don't know if I like even in United States. It's like, it's too crazy. Even though it's, where I live, I think it's still too crazy. But I am excited for that this year. So aside from Perp DEXs in the market, I'm looking forward to the World Cup and then maybe gambling a little bit on poly market. I don't want to gamble too much because, I already gamble full time for a living.
Bueno, pues nada, prof, la verdad que ha sido un buen resumen. Ahí hemos dejado una punzadita de fútbol Y nada, también decirte de nuestra parte que ha sido un auténtico placer. Ha sido nuestro primer invitado que es de habla no hispana, en este caso en inglés. Hemos estado súper a gusto. Nosotros también, prof, hemos podido practicar nuestro inglés, así que, oye, ha sido creo que un win and win. Hemos ganado tanto tú como nosotros.
Y la audiencia, que también ha estado ahí haciendo la orejímetra, porque claro,
Sí.
al final hay que estar ahí escuchando al prof, el accent, está guay el podcast. Yo creo que es un 3x1 de aprendizaje de todo, de idioma, de perpetuo y de
3 por
fútbol.
1.
Ahí está. Pues nada, perdona, Fer, yo creo que vamos a hacer ya el disclaimer. Yo ya no tengo nada más que decir, el prof ya se ha despedido, así que yo creo que podemos cortar por aquí y hacer lo de siempre, ¿no? El disclaimer, que luego nos canea.
Efectivamente. Recordad que nada de lo que hablamos aquí es ningún consejo de inversión. Al final son todo planteamientos, reflexiones, ideas de mi estimado amigo Alex, de nuestro super amigo medio argentino, medio norteamericano, en el que hemos hablado de todo un poco, pero recordad siempre hacer vuestro Dior, NFA y, bueno, pues ya está. Hasta aquí hemos llegado, Alex. Episodio 84, uno más, uno menos.
Uno más, uno menos. Empezamos el año con un invitado ahí internacional hablando de Lighter y ya veremos en unos meses cómo envejece este podcast. Nosotros seguimos bullish en el producto de Lighter, en el equipo, en lo que puede venir. El token al final no representa muchas veces el valor de una empresa ni los fundamentales y el mercado está en la mierda, así que es verdad que el prof ha resumido perfectamente nuestra opinión a largo plazo y obviamente aquí todo el mundo ha podido vender, Fer, así como ya, como toque final, ha podido vender en 2,5 FDB, en 3 billions, 2 billions, o sea, que quien ha querido sacar dinero, ha sacado dinero. Y recordamos una cosa importante de cerrar, un airdrop es dinero que si te ha cubierto las fees, spreads y tu inversión inicial, estás en profit. O sea, ya la gestión, cada uno la puede hacer mejor o peor. Así que nada, gente, cerramos por aquí. Seguid a Satoshi Hayes y nos vemos en el próximo. Hasta pronto.